Her life depends on you. The tiny alien girl begged me to act. The midnight plea. The bioluminescent fungi cast eerie blue shadows across Maya Chen's makeshift laboratory as she carefully labeled her latest specimen collection. 6 months stranded on Lemuria after her research vessel crashed, and she was still discovering new species daily. The rhythmic chirping of the nocturnal insects outside her shelter had become a comforting soundtrack to her isolation. "Please help." "She's dying," came a soft, trembling voice from the doorway. Maya spun around, nearly dropping her sample vial. Standing in the entrance was a small figure, no taller than a human child. Her skin glowed a soft purple in the dim light, with delicate patterns that seemed to pulse with each rapid breath. Large almond-shaped eyes reflecting the blue glow of the fungi stared back at Maya with unmistakable desperation. "Who are you?" Maya asked, instinctively reaching for her translator device.
"How did you find me?"
"I am Nyx," the small alien replied, her words translated with only a slight delay. "The forest whispers of the sky woman who studies our plants. You must come." "Lyra is dying," Maya hesitated. In 6 months she had observed the indigenous Lemurians from a distance, but had carefully maintained her scientific objectivity by avoiding direct contact. Xenobiology protocol was clear about non-interference, yet the pleading in those luminous eyes made her professional reservations waver. "Who is Lyra? What happened to her?" Maya asked, already reaching for her medical kit. "Lyra raised me after the great storm took my parents," Nyx explained, her voice breaking. "She is our star watcher, our wisdom keeper. She breathed in the golden mist from the night bloom. Its beauty hides poison." Maya understood immediately. The night bloom. She had documented its luminous pollen just last week. Its biochemical properties were fascinating but potentially lethal to certain physiologies. "I'm not sure I can help," Maya said honestly. "My medicine is designed for humans, not Lemurians." Nyx stepped forward, taking Maya's hand with surprising gentleness. "You understand the plants. You understand bodies. The stars told me you would help." Maya looked at her limited supplies, barely enough to keep herself alive until rescue arrived, if it ever did. Helping meant risking her own survival and breaking protocol. But the alternative meant turning away from someone who needed her unique knowledge. "How far?" Maya asked. "Decision made." "Beyond the crystal pools before the singing cliffs," Nyx replied, already pulling her toward the door. "We must hurry. The second moon is already rising." The forest outside was transformed at night. Plants that remained dormant during the day now unfurled glowing tendrils, painting the landscape in neon blues and purples. Floating spores drifted through the air like earthly fireflies, creating natural pathways through the dense vegetation. "Stay close," Nyx instructed, moving with surprising speed for her size. The sweet singers hunt when both moons shine. Maya followed, her mind racing through possible treatments for pollen toxicity in an alien physiology. She would need to synthesize an antitoxin, but without knowing Lemurian biochemistry, she would be working blind. "Tell me about Lyra," Maya said as they navigated a narrow path between towering glowing mushrooms. "What is she like?" Nyx's patterns brightened slightly. "Lyra watches the stars and maps their paths. She knows when storms will come and when fruits will ripen. She taught me to listen to the world's songs." Nyx paused, looking back at Maya with a vulnerability that transcended species. "She is all I have." The weight of that trust settled on Maya's shoulders as they pressed deeper into the luminous forest. Whatever waited ahead would change everything: her research, her isolation, perhaps even her understanding of life on this planet. For the first time since the crash, Maya felt something beyond scientific curiosity: purpose. As they crossed a stream that seemed to flow with liquid starlight, Maya wondered about the mysterious Lyra who studied the stars. A kindred spirit, perhaps. Another scientist seeking to understand the universe, just from a different perspective. There, Nyx pointed toward a soft glow emanating from what appeared to be a formation of living plants woven into a dwelling. "Our home." Maya took a deep breath, tightened her grip on her medical kit, and prepared to step across a threshold that no human had crossed before, into the world of the Lemurians, and into a destiny she couldn't possibly foresee. Journey through the glowing forest. The dwelling of Nyx and Lyra was unlike anything Maya had seen in her months on Lemuria. Living plants had been gently coaxed into forming walls and arches, their luminous fibers creating intricate patterns that pulsed with life. As they entered, Maya gasped at the ceiling, a transparent membrane that revealed the twin moons and star-scattered sky above. "This is where Lyra watches the stars," Nyx explained, leading Maya to a central chamber where a larger Lumorian lay on a bed of phosphorescent moss. Lyra's purple skin had taken on a grayish tinge, the natural patterns that normally glowed now dim and erratic. Her breathing came in shallow gasps, each intake seeming more difficult than the last. Beside her lay astronomical instruments crafted from crystal and living plant material, tools of her stargazing profession. Maya knelt beside Lyra, medical scanner in hand. "The night bloom pollen is attacking her respiratory system," she murmured, studying the readings. "I need to create an antitoxin, but I'll need specific ingredients." "Tell me what you need," Nyx said, determination replacing fear in her luminous eyes. "The silver ferns that grow near water, their enzymes might neutralize the toxin. And the bioluminescent fungi from the eastern groves could provide compounds to repair tissue damage." Nyx nodded. "The singing cliffs have silver ferns. The third ingredient?" Maya thought carefully. "Something to bind it all together. Do you have nectar from the blue spiral flowers? The ones that only open at midnight?" "The moondrops," Nyx confirmed. "They bloom tonight. We must hurry." They ventured back into the forest, now illuminated by both moons. The beauty of Lumoria at night was breathtaking. Ecosystems transforming completely from their daytime state. Under normal circumstances, Maya would have been frantically taking notes, but tonight her focus was singular, saving Lyra. As they approached the singing, cliffs, rock formations that vibrated with haunting, tones as wind passed through their chambers. Nyx suddenly pulled Maya behind a massive root. "Structure, sweet singers," she whispered, pointing to graceful predatory creatures gliding through the air. "They hunt anything that moves." They waited in tense silence until the predators drifted away, then quickly gathered silver fern fronds, their edges glimmering with medicinal dew. "Lyra once saved me from sweet singers," Nyx said as they moved toward the eastern groves. "I was very small, exploring too far from home. She used her star knowledge to predict their hunting paths and found me just in time." Maya glanced at her small companion, seeing beyond her alien features to the deep emotional bond she shared with her guardian. "She sounds remarkable," Maya said softly. "She says the same about you," Nyx replied. "She has watched you through her far viewer since you arrived from the stars. She says you move through our world with respect." Maya felt a strange flutter in her chest at the thought of being observed by the mysterious astronomer. "She's been watching me?" "All the stars are worthy of study," Nyx said simply. "And you came from the stars." In the eastern grove, they collected spores from the towering fungi, carefully storing them in Maya's sample containers. Their final destination was a small clearing where moonlight pooled directly overhead, illuminating spiral flowers that slowly unfurled as midnight approached. As they collected the precious nectar, a distant howl echoed through the forest. Nyx's eyes widened. "Shadow prowlers. They rarely come this close to dwellings." "We have everything we need," Maya said, securing the last vial. "Let's get back to Lyra." Their return journey was a breathless race against time, navigating the luminous landscape with increasing urgency. When they finally reached the living dwelling, Maya immediately set to work, combining the ingredients using both her Earth equipment and Lumorian tools Nyx provided. "This should neutralize the toxin," Maya explained as she prepared a mixture that glowed with an otherworldly blue light. "But I don't know if her system will accept it. Our biologies are so different." "She trusts you," Nyx said simply. "As do I." Maya carefully administered the antitoxin, monitoring Lyra's vital signs as the mixture entered her system. For several agonizing minutes, nothing changed. Then slowly, the natural patterns on Lyra's skin began to glow more steadily. "It's working," Maya whispered, relief flooding through her. "She needs rest now. The healing has begun." As dawn approached, Maya sat beside Lyra, watching the subtle changes in her condition. Nyx had finally succumbed to exhaustion, curled up nearby in a nest-like bed. Just as the first rays of Lumoria's sun filtered through the transparent ceiling, Lyra's eyes fluttered open, deep violet orbs that fixed immediately on Maya with surprising clarity. "Star traveler," she whispered, her voice melodic even through the translator. "You came." Maya leaned forward, surprised by the intensity of emotion that surged through her at those simple words. Yes, she replied softly. I came. First encounter. 3 days passed as Lyra recovered her strength. Maya divided her time between caring for her patient and studying the astronomical instruments that filled the dwelling. Though designed for alien hands, their purpose was clear: tracking celestial bodies, predicting astronomical events, mapping star patterns. You understand them, Lyra observed on the 4th morning, finding Maya examining a complex crystalline device that projected star positions. Maya startled, not having heard Lyra approach. The Lumorian moved with fluid grace despite her recent illness. Her height greater than Nyx's, but still smaller than Maya's. The patterns on her purple skin had regained their vivid luminescence, shifting subtly with her emotions. I'm trying to, Maya admitted. On Earth, my world, I studied biology, not astronomy. But science speaks a universal language. Lyra's eyes, deeper violet than Nyx's, studied Maya with intelligent curiosity. Universal indeed. Your medicine and my star knowledge both seek to understand the patterns of life. There was something in Lyra's gaze that made Maya acutely aware of herself. Not as a scientist or a stranded traveler, but simply as a being encountering another being across the vast divide of evolutionary difference. This one, Lyra continued, touching the crystal instrument, tracks the gravitational dance of our 3 neighboring planets. Their alignment brings the great tides that seed our forests. Maya watched as Lyra's slender fingers manipulated the device, projecting a holographic display of planetary orbits. That's remarkable. Our astronomers use similar principles, though our technology looks very different. Different methods, same stars, Lyra said, her translator conveying what seemed like a gentle amusement. Nyx tells me you saved my life. Maya shook her head. We both did. I couldn't have found those ingredients without her knowledge of your world. Our world, Lyra corrected gently. While you walk beneath our sky, breathe our air, Lumoria is as much yours as ours. The sentiment touched Maya unexpectedly. After months of scientific detachment, maintaining herself as an observer rather than a participant, Lyra's words offered belonging. Later that day, Lyra took Maya to the dwelling's highest point, a platform nestled among living branches that offered a panoramic view of the surrounding forest. The daytime ecosystem was equally mesmerizing in its own way. Flowers that tracked the sun's movement, floating seed pods that navigated air currents with apparent intelligence. I've observed your camp through many cycles, Lyra admitted, leaning against a railing formed from a smooth, living branch. Your methods of study intrigued me. You take such care not to disturb what you examine. Maya felt a blush rise to her cheeks. You've been studying me while I've been studying your world? That's a bit embarrassing. Why? Lyra's head tilted with genuine curiosity. Is scientific observation not a form of respect on your world? It is, Maya acknowledged. I just never thought I'd be on the other side of the microscope. Lyra's patterns shifted in what Maya was beginning to recognize as laughter. Perhaps that is why the night bloom chose you, to remind you that observer and observed are merely perspectives, not fixed roles. There was wisdom in the statement that resonated with Maya. Among my people, there's a principle in quantum physics that suggests the act of observation changes what is being observed. Among my people, we simply call that life, Lyra replied. She hesitated before adding, the connection goes both ways. The implication hung in the air between them, unspoken but undeniable. Something was happening, a bridge forming between 2 beings from entirely different evolutionary paths, drawn together by circumstance but staying by choice. That evening, as Nyx entertained herself with cataloging Maya's collection of Earth objects, Lyra showed Maya her most treasured possession, a map of what Maya recognized as nearby star systems, rendered with astonishing accuracy using only Lumorian observation techniques. This is your home, Lyra said, pointing to a familiar configuration that included Earth's sun. Maya nodded, a sudden wave of homesickness washing over her. Yes, though I'm not sure when or if I'll return. Does that thought bring sorrow? Lyra asked, her voice gentle. Maya considered the question honestly. Less than it once did, she admitted. Your world has so much to teach, to discover. And what of its people? Lyra's patterns pulsed with what might have been vulnerability. Do they also interest the scientist in you? Maya met Lyra's gaze directly. They interest more than just the scientist, she said softly. Lyra's hand moved tentatively across the space between them, coming to rest lightly against Maya's. The touch sent a strange, pleasant warmth up Maya's arm, whether from some property of Lumorian biology or something else entirely. She couldn't say. Then perhaps, Lyra whispered, the night bloom's poison was actually a gift. As the twin moons rose over Lumoria, casting their silvery light through the transparent ceiling, two beings from different worlds sat side by side, their hands intertwined, the boundaries between researcher and subject, alien and human, beginning to blur into something neither had words to describe yet. The healing touch 2 weeks had passed since Maya first entered Lyra's home, and her daily routine had transformed completely. What began as medical necessity had evolved into cultural exchange, with each day bringing new discoveries. This morning, Maya watched from the dwelling's central chamber as Lyra taught Nyx about seasonal stellar migrations. The young Lumorian traced constellations on a holographic projection, while Lyra gently corrected her technique. The domesticity of the scene stirred something deep within Maya, a longing she hadn't expected to find on a distant planet. "You're distracted today, star traveler," Lyra observed, dismissing Nyx to her outdoor studies. She approached Maya with the graceful movement that still captivated the xenobiologist's scientific and personal interest. "I was thinking about my research," Maya admitted. "Before I crashed here, I was documenting ecosystem relationships, how different species evolve to support one another." Lyra's patterns shifted in what Maya now recognized as thoughtful consideration. "And have you found such relationships on Lumoria?" "Everywhere," Maya replied. "The fungi provide nutrients for the trees, which shelter smaller plants which feed the herbivores. But there's something more fundamental here. Your people don't just live alongside nature, you're integrated with it." "As are you," Lyra said softly. "Have you not noticed how the luminous moss now grows toward your dwelling place? How the evening songbirds gather near when you speak? Lumoria recognizes you now." Maya hadn't noticed, her scientist's eye trained to look for broader patterns rather than personal interactions with the environment. "That's not possible." "Many impossible things become possible when we stop categorizing and start connecting," Lyra said. Her hand reached out, gently touching Maya's wrist where her skin had developed a slight purple tinge, a reaction to Lumorian pollen that had initially concerned Maya, but proved harmless. The touch lingered, Lyra's fingers tracing the discoloration with curious tenderness. "Your body adapts to our world as our hearts adapt to your presence." Maya felt her pulse quicken beneath Lyra's touch. The past weeks had been filled with such moments, brief contacts that seemed to grow longer, gazes that held questions neither dared to voice aloud. "I'd like to show you something," Lyra said suddenly, "a place sacred to my people. Will you come?" They journeyed deeper into the forest than Maya had ever ventured, beyond the territories she had mapped in her solitary explorations. As midday approached, they entered a clearing where the ground sloped downward toward a perfectly circular pool. Unlike the crystal-clear waters elsewhere on Lumoria, this liquid shimmered with opalescent colors that shifted and swirled without any apparent current. "The reflection pool," Lyra explained. "It appears only once each lunar cycle, when the magnetic fields of our planet align with the twin moons." Maya approached cautiously, scientific curiosity mingling with reverence for what was clearly a significant cultural site. "What does it do?" "It shows truth," Lyra said simply, kneeling at the pool's edge. "Not as others see you, not as you see yourself, but as you truly are." She gestured for Maya to join her. Maya knelt beside Lyra, both of them gazing into the swirling colors. Slowly the pool's surface stilled, and Maya gasped as images formed. Not reflections of their faces, but a luminous network of energy connecting everything. The trees, the soil, the air, Lyra and Maya herself. Within this network, pulses of light flowed between them, creating patterns as complex as galaxies. "What am I seeing?" Maya whispered. "Life threads," Lyra answered, her voice hushed with reverence. "The connections that bind all living things. Most are temporary, brief exchanges of energy, information. But some..." She pointed to where the lights between them pulsed with particular intensity. "Some connections run deeper." Maya stared, mesmerized by the visual representation of what she had been feeling. This inexplicable draw toward Lyra that transcended scientific interest or even friendship. Is this why you brought me here? Maya asked softly. To show me this connection. Lyra's patterns glowed with vulnerability. I brought you here because among my people, this place is where life bonds are confirmed, where two beings acknowledge what the universe has already decided. Her eyes met Maya's, direct and questioning. On your world, how do you speak of such things? Maya's scientific mind raced to categorize this as cultural exchange, as xenobiological data, as anything other than what it clearly was, a moment of profound intimacy. But her heart knew better. On my world, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, we sometimes say that souls recognize each other, regardless of where or when they meet. Lyra's hand found Maya's again, their fingers intertwining beside the reflection pool. Then our worlds are not so different after all. Maya leaned forward, guided by instinct rather than analysis, and pressed her forehead gently against Lyra's, a gesture that felt right despite having no precedent in either of their cultures. Where their skin touched, a warm glow spread, visible even without the pool's revelations. I don't know what happens next, Maya confessed. I'm a scientist without data for this experiment. Lyra's pattern shifted in what Maya now recognized as gentle amusement. Then perhaps it is time to set aside the scientist and simply be Maya. As if to emphasize her point, Lyra's free hand rose to touch Maya's cheek, her touch sending pleasant shivers across Maya's skin. Slowly, with deliberate care, she leaned forward and pressed her lips to Maya's, a human gesture she must have observed or learned about, performed with such tenderness that Maya felt tears spring to her eyes. When they finally separated, Maya saw the reflection pool had changed. The networks of light had merged into a single, unified pattern that pulsed in harmony with both their heartbeats. Now we are written in Lumoria's memory, Lyra whispered. Whatever comes next, this moment exists forever. Maya realized that her years of scientific training had never prepared her for this discovery, that love could transcend biology, evolution, and the vast distances between stars. Two worlds, one heart. The distress beacon's sudden activation shattered the peaceful morning routine. Maya rushed from Lyra's dwelling, Nyx and Lyra close behind to find her emergency transmitter flashing with an unmistakable message. Rescue incoming. After 8 months stranded on Lemuria, the response she had once desperately hoped for now filled her with conflicting emotions. Earth vessel identifies as Horizon. Maya translated the signal for Lyra and Nyx. Arrival estimated within 3 days. Nyx clutched at Maya's hand, her young face displaying unmistakable distress despite her alien features. You cannot go, she pleaded. You belong with us now. Maya knelt to eye level with the child who had become like family. It's complicated, little one, she said softly. My world, my research. Your heart is here, Nyx insisted with childlike directness. The reflection pool showed it. Maya looked to Lyra, whose patterns had dimmed to a muted purple, a sign of deep emotional restraint. What the pool reveals is truth but not destiny, Lyra said carefully. Maya must choose her path freely. The following days passed in a haze of preparation and quiet tension. Maya organized her research samples and data 8 months of unprecedented xenobiological discoveries that would revolutionize science back on Earth. Yet each carefully labeled specimen felt like a weight rather than an achievement. On the eve of the rescue ship's arrival, Maya sat with Lyra on the observation platform, watching Lumoria's twin moons rise over the bioluminescent forest. Their hands were intertwined, a gesture that had become as natural as breathing. Your people will want to return here, Maya said, breaking the heavy silence. Once they see my research, they'll send proper scientific expeditions, diplomatic missions. And this troubles you? Lyra's voice carried gentle understanding. Maya sighed. Lumoria is perfect in its balance. My people, we don't always understand balance. We explore, we examine, we extract. Like you did? Lyra asked. I tried to observe without interfering, but look what happened anyway. Maya gestured between them. I changed everything. Lyra's patterns brightened momentarily with affection. Change is the universe's only constant. Before you arrived, did I not watch the stars change their positions? Did Nyx not grow taller with each season? Change is not to be feared, only change without wisdom. And what wisdom does this moment require? Maya asked, the question that had been tormenting her finally spoken aloud. Instead of answering, Lyra led Maya back inside, to the chamber where her astronomical instruments hummed with quiet energy. She activated the holographic star map, expanding it until the projection filled the room with pinpoints of light, a three-dimensional representation of their galactic neighborhood. "Here," Lyra said, indicating a bright point that represented Earth's sun. "You're home." Then she pointed to another star. "And here, Lumoria." The vast distance between them was starkly apparent in the projection. "Between these points," Lyra continued, "lie countless worlds. Some harbor life, others await its touch. The universe does not ask us to choose only one home, one love, one purpose." Her patterns shifted to a deeper, more intense purple. "It asks us to build bridges." "Bridges," Maya repeated, understanding dawning. "Not just between you and me. Between our peoples, our knowledge, our ways of seeing." Lyra's eyes held Maya's with intensity. "Your science. Our harmony. Both valuable, both incomplete alone." Maya thought of her research, how it would be received, what it would mean for Earth's understanding of extraterrestrial life. Then she thought of what she had learned from Lyra, lessons about integration rather than observation, connection rather than categorization. "I could be that bridge," Maya said slowly. "Return to Earth, share what I've learned, not just the biological samples, but the philosophy, the perspective. And then return," Lyra finished, hope illuminating her patterns, "as a messenger between worlds." The vision crystallized in Maya's mind. Not an ending, but a beginning. Not a choice between worlds, but a uniting of them. The next morning, as the rescue ship descended through Lumoria's atmosphere, Maya stood at the edge of the clearing where she had made camp so many months ago. Lyra and Nyx waited just within the forest line, invisible to the approaching human crew. "Promise you'll return," Nyx had pleaded earlier, her small form pressed against Maya in a fierce embrace. "I promise," Maya had replied, with the certainty of one who had seen truth in the reflection pool. Now, as the ship's engines stirred the air around her, Maya touched the small crystal pendant Lyra had given her, a miniaturized version of the astronomical instrument that tracked Lumoria's position relative to Earth. It would guide her back when the time came. The ship landed, and Maya stepped forward to greet her fellow humans, her arms filled with research samples, her mind filled with scientific discoveries, and her heart carrying a secret that would change two worlds forever. As she boarded the rescue vessel, she turned for one last look at the luminous forest edge. There, barely visible among the glowing flora, a pattern of purple light pulsed in a rhythm that matched her heartbeat, a silent promise that transcended distance, biology, and time. Not an ending, but the first chapter in a story as vast as the stars themselves.